Okay, so we'll get started. So yeah, thank you all very much for joining us, and then lovely to see everybody. It's very snowy and frosty here in Sheffield, so I'm hoping that it'll continue that way to Christmas. But I'll just start sharing the slides now, and if someone can give me a thumbs up that they can see, that would be much appreciated. Fab, thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, welcome to TechMeet 4. It's the final one of this year, of this calendar year anyway, and it's all about technical outreach. So we've got quite a few speakers in today, so we're going to be kind of running through things quite quickly from them. So apologies to them for being rushed, but huge thank you for them joining us, and I will introduce them in just a moment. And for those of you who haven't been to one before, like I've just said, it will be recorded, so feel free to distribute that widely afterwards to any of your colleagues or in any of your networks or any of your kind of Tech Connects groups and things like that. Use the chat box as you like. We want this to be quite informal and for people to get involved, so yeah, please do use it, and chat amongst yourselves, chat with the speakers. And also feedback at the end. If there's anything you want to see in next year's TechMeet, you're free to kind of run the way the kind of direction it goes in. So, please do make suggestions, drop me an email. If you want to speak about anything, then you are more than welcome to do that. Yeah, so for those of you that haven't been before, TechMeet's regular, it's informal, and it's a networking event for technical staff and also supporters across the network. So we have quite a wide network in the NTDC and heated of over 60 universities, and we'll probably have people represented here who might be technical apprentices, might be leading technical services in their organisations, they might be HROD staff, so a real mix of people. And yeah, great to see you all here today. So just to introduce our speakers, we've got Lizzie and Neil, who will be discussing some of the outcomes of their projects and what they've been doing with the Technician Development Fund that we offer, which is currently open at the moment, and I'll talk about that briefly in a minute. And then we've got Denise, who works quite widely across outreach and ED&I work, so it'll be great to hear what you've been up to, Denise. And Denise is at the University of Nottingham. And then we've also got Lily from the Science Museum, who will be sharing opportunities and things that technicians can get involved with the Science Museum. So it'll be great to hear from you, Lily, and I think you'll have time to answer any questions that people might have as well. So yeah, thank you very much again to the speakers for joining us today. It's very much appreciated, as always. So before we get started, obviously today's theme is technical outreach, and we are having two speakers today, both Lizzie and Neil, who have successfully applied for and received the funding from us to deliver outreach projects. So we'll be hearing from both Lizzie and Neil today about how they did that and how that's maybe been adapted with some things that they already had going on and how the funding's been used. So we have got it open at the moment for inspiring the next generation of technicians. So that's about kind of underrepresented groups in technical services or young people to kind of aspire to a technical career. So that's closing on the 26th of January, and I will send all information about this through afterwards, so you don't need to write down any links or anything right now. I'll pop it in an email and you can circulate that amongst your colleagues. So just a bit of background on it. Yeah, the theme is technical careers for everybody. So like I said, that covers kind of different areas and different groups of people who might not have considered a technical career or don't think it's for them. And the best people to kind of shout about why a technical career is great are people that are working in it. So yeah, we're kind of handing over to people to do that and bang on that drum. And you can apply individually or as a team and get up to £500 per project. And like I said, the closing date is 26th of January, which feels quite far away, but actually the more you think about it, it's actually really close, and this year is just flying by. So yeah, I'll send all information in a follow-up email about that, and then yeah, please do get involved. It'd be great to kind of have people on board. So before we get to Denise, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand over to Dr. Lizzie James at Northumbria University to talk us through the TDF project that you did, Lizzie. So thank you very much. And I'll give you a shout when we can see your slides as well, because I know you might not be able to.
Right, hang on 1 second. Perfect.
Yep, you're up.
Okay, brilliant. So hi everybody. I'm not smart enough with Zoom yet, which I should be, to be able to see you and the slides at the same time. So I can only see my slides, but I'm hoping that you're all there. But anyway, my name's Lizzie James. I'm an Assistant Director of Faculty Ops at Northumbria University, and that means that I've got the pleasure of leading some of our technical teams at the university. I'm going to talk about a project that we've done specifically around inspiring the next generation of engineering technicians. And I did that with 3 people from my former team, Sam, Craig and Connor, who were absolutely fantastic, helping me with the project. So just a little bit about us, because not everybody might be familiar with Northumbria, but we're a university based in Newcastle upon Tyne. We've got campuses in London and Amsterdam as well. We've got about 30,000 students, something like that. We're arranged into 4 faculties. We've got art, design, business law, engineering and environment, and health and life sciences. And we've got technical teams that feed into 3 of those faculties. Is only business and law where we don't have any technical teams working. We signed our technician commitment back in October 21, and we're going through the first stage 1 action plan at the moment. And outreach activity for us was included in that and was an important part that we wanted to include. I also think I'm contractually obliged to say that we're still University of the Year. I think anybody, we have to say that. And I think it might be the last day that we can say that. We're at the Times Higher Education University of the Year, so I have to fit that in as well. And we really wanted to do some work around promoting technical careers in our region and inspire the next generation of technicians. And I'd say that our technical teams here have been involved in what I'd think of being kind of our more traditional outreach activities, where we're either promoting the university or we're promoting engineering as a whole, but not so much with a focus on promoting technical careers or promoting the university as an employer in the region. And we really felt that there was a regional need for that in the North East, and we really wanted to work with primary school aged children about technical careers. And we've kind of done this in 2 parts, which I'm going to talk to you about. So we were actually approached by the National Literacy Trust back in earlier in the year, and this kind of started us off on our journey of working with the primary school. They got in touch with us and they partnered us with a school that was in Northumberland in quite a disadvantaged area because they wanted us to go in as a part of a wider team that included academic staff, technical staff, engineers from companies like Nexus that run the metro up here, and engineering managers. So we went in as a team of different type of engineers to work with the children through the National Literacy Trust programme. And what that really involved for us was to go into the school. We met with Year 3 and Year 4 classes, and we went through a book. You'll probably be able to see this on the next slide. We went through a book all about engineering with them, and we kind of talked about the different roles that you could do as an engineer. What type of engineer could you be? Where could you be an engineer? And they were really, really interested in what our roles were and what we did day to day. And they asked us some really fantastic questions about what it meant to be a technician. There was no topics were off limits. So we had a great time. And you can see 2 of my technicians there, Sam and Connor, after our first visit, and they really, really, really enjoyed it. The second stage of this part of the work, we then went back into the school, and this was about May time, and we did a building challenge with them, a making challenge. And this very much mirrors things that we in some way do with the students as well. So it was really great that we could relate something that we were doing with them to something that theoretically we might do with students when they come to university. And it gave us a really kind of safe environment, I suppose, as we were all building together to be able to talk to them about different roles in engineering and different things that they might want to be thinking about as we were trying to build the strongest and the tallest tower. And they had some great questions, and as we were going through it, and we tried to answer them as best as we could. As I say, it gave us a really great opportunity to be able to talk to them about different types of engineering roles. And I think the best part was us being able to kind of say, well, these are the type of things that we do every day. We get to do these fun activities as technicians, as well as some of these other things. And that could be the type of thing that you could do when you're older. So we had a great time with our 2 visits to Seg Hill. We had a really, really great time, got on really well with the children. And we just thought, well, what do we want to carry this on? So what's next? And I think that's where we saw we had our opportunity. So we've been awarded the development fund because we knew that we wanted to do some further work around outreach. We knew that we wanted to build on our relationship with Seg Hill, but we knew that it was difficult for them to be coming into the university. Funding was a challenge for the school. We wanted the students to come in because we felt as if that would kind of round everything off. It would kind of complete the conversations that we've been having with them. We were talking not only about our jobs, but we were talking about our facilities, and we were talking about all the other people in the team and the roles that they had. And we just thought it would be really fantastic for the children to be able to come in and meet everybody else and see some of the things that we've been talking to them about. So we used our funding to be able to make sure that they had transport into the university, and we used it for some materials for the events. The teachers were really keen, the children were really keen, and so we planned a whole day for them to come into the university and spend the day with us. So what type of things did we get up to? I think we just showed them pretty much everything that we could around the different types of engineering that we support. So they spent pretty much a whole day with us. We split the two year groups. We mixed them up and we split them into smaller groups, and they rotated around, I think, something like 10 different stations of different activities that they could do with different technicians. And the different technicians would be explaining the different elements of engineering that they would be looking at and why it was important. And they would also be talking about their specific roles and the types of things that they would be doing every day with the students or with the researchers. We also had a lunchtime session where any kind of remaining technicians or anybody else kind of came in, and we answered any questions that the children had about our jobs and things like that. So what did we show them? So I've got a couple of pictures up here of some of the things that we did with them. So we did a duck race in the flume with different obstacles in the water. So they got to understand different types of flow, and we gave them all a 3D printed duck that they got to take home with them. We also got them to scan each other, which they absolutely loved in the rapid prototyping room. So they had great fun doing that, especially when they got to do it to the teacher. They thought that was hilarious. We got them to use our thermal imaging cameras. So they just anything that was very visual, they absolutely loved. We also got to demonstrate the CNC machines to them, so they understood what they did, but we also used them to carve things like their school logos into things, and they got to take that home. We also talked to them about building structures and got them to think about some bits around structural engineering. What else did we do? We've also talked to them about strength of materials and got them to watch things going on in the tensile testing machines. And my technical team were great. You know, they tried to relate it to items that the children would be aware of. So the weight of cars and horses and pianos and things like that. So they really tried to make it really relatable for the children. We also did 3D printing with them, so they got to take home their duck, and we also got them to spend some time in the wind tunnel, so we could talk to them about the wind tunnel and the type of things that we do in there, and also about things like aeroplanes. So there were definitely some favourites, and I've got some videos which I hope you don't mind me sharing with you quickly, and hopefully they will play. But it was definitely a case of anything where they could race. That was something that they absolutely loved. So I'm going to show you the duck race versus the car race, and hopefully you'll be able to see, especially in the car race, just how excited they were. So with the car race, we basically set something up that we do with the students, For our students, they actually make the cars, but we modified it for the children, so they got to look at the different types of racing cars that we had, and they would predict which one they thought was going to win the race. So I'll show you the duck race first, so you can see the type of thing that we did. So they really enjoyed that, and then we did the race with them for the cars, which I'll show you quickly. Oh, hang on. I just need to get on to the next slide. There we go. So I suppose the main thing was, did they enjoy it, and what did they take from the visit in with us? And I think they absolutely loved it. We got some great feedback directly from the children who took the time to write cards, and they sent them into us at the university. We got great feedback from the teachers who are linking us and connecting us with other schools. So we can continue the work and build on it with some other schools in the area as well. And I think some of the feedback that I most enjoyed was one, obviously they just loved being in the university, and they could, we got some of them saying, oh, when I'm older, I really want to come here to do engineering, which was fantastic. But at the same time, we also got children saying, when I'm older, I want to come and work here. I want to come and work in the labs, and I want to come and be a technician. And I think for us, I took as much pleasure from that as obviously them saying that they wanted to do engineering in the as a whole. And also, I think the technical team really loved it. That everybody got really involved. They really enjoyed planning all the sessions. They loved having the primary school children in. And I think what we can see is that we just want to do more of that type of activity. I think we can see that you can really start to, when you're talking to the children when they're that young, you can really be kind of shaping their thinking about what they might want to be doing when they're older. So we just want to do more of the same. And I think that's it. So yeah, in a nutshell, yeah, we all had a great time, and the children loved it.
Thank you very much, Lizzie, and definite smiles hearing all the delighted squeals from all the children there. So yeah, really brilliant, and loved on the feedback where someone said, "I love your cool jobs."
Yeah.
That's the
yeah. We were really pleased that we got that part across. So and that it wasn't just about coming to university, which is also really important, but it was about the whole kind of technical role. So
yeah, that was great. Then thank you very much for sharing, and yeah, great to see how well it's gone. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Arthur, I think you've got your hand up.
Yes, I have. Is it okay to ask questions outside the chat box?
Yeah, go for it.
So, Lizzie, I think it's a long time since we've met, probably about 2016. You were
I know, back down in Exeter.
I look a lot older, you look a lot younger. So can I ask a couple of sort of practical type questions? So do you have any idea, or do you know, for sort of your effort input, is there an optimum time to get the maximum sort of buy-in from the children? Is there an optimum age? Are you best targeting them sort of, they were fairly young, weren't they? They looked about, what, 8 or so that sort of age?
Yeah, they were kind of year 3 and year 4.
Okay. Is there an optimum age on which you can sort of hook them into getting interested in science and wanting a science career? Or I don't know, I'm just wondering for your return on your investment, so to speak.
No, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I think we obviously were connected with those children through the National Literacy Trust. So I'd assume that they're targeting a specific age group because they feel that that's a good point to have an intervention. Okay. But yeah, I mean, we're just hoping that in 10 years' time, we're going to see some of them coming back through the door, either wanting a job or coming to university.
Yeah, the feedback was really good. That what feedback you said you got.
Yeah.
The other question is a bit more practical. Did you manage to safeguarding issues, or was that difficult to sort of to get around?
We just worked. Yeah, we worked really closely with the school. So because the teachers were always with us and they were always present with the groups, then yeah, we just followed. We had to give them risk assessments and what have you. But the safeguarding stuff, because the teachers and the assistants were always present, we were fine. We split them into smaller groups, so they went round in maybe 6s or 8s, but we matched that up with the number of teachers that were present to make sure that we were always covered.
I expect it was as much fun for the technicians involved as it was for the kids. It looked really fun.
Oh, it was such a fun day. It was one of those days, I've said it to everybody that I've talked to about it, is one of those days at work where you just feel like it was a really like heartwarming, good day. Do you know what I mean? It was, yeah. And the whole technical team just, yeah, they loved it. There were a couple of them that were perhaps a bit more skeptical about it, but as soon as they had the enthusiasm from the children as they came in, it just, yeah.
Good, well done, good.
Thanks.
Thank you, Arthur. And yeah, great questions. And if anybody does have any input on those areas, please do just pop a message in or jump off mute towards the end when we've got a bit of time as well. So yeah, thanks again, Lizzie. And yeah, just to echo what Arthur said, it did look like a lot of fun for everyone. I wouldn't mind coming and doing a duck race actually. And then next up we've got Neil from Edinburgh Napier. Neil, I'll let you introduce yourself properly, and I'll also let you know when your slides are sharing.
Perfect. I'll just try and do that first. That's hopefully.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah. Right, perfect. So I am Neil, and I work at Edinburgh Napier University as a sport and exercise science technician. And Sam has kindly asked me to just present to you guys really quickly about the project that I got funding for through the NTDC Technician Development Fund last year. So a kind of brief overview of it. It's the Edinburgh Napier University Technical Roadshow, and I can see a lot of crossovers with kind of what Lizzie has done, which is great, I guess, because that was the remit. So we've both met that, I guess. With the roadshow, instead of bringing kids into the university, though, we focused on going into schools, so bringing activities to them and into schools that maybe wouldn't have had opportunities like this before, because again, that was kind of part of the remit of the funding. Traditionally, when I've done like outreach work before, it's been mostly focused on like a sport and exercise science kind of background. So we do a lot of activities that they would do in like our practical classes, which are always really fun and really engaging. But I thought with applying for this fund, it would be good to put a technical kind of standpoint on the activities that we do and kind of introduce the kids to something, again, like what we want to do is introduce like what we do as a job and how that differs from just coming in here and doing sports science. So yeah, it's kind of introduction to the project. So has that moved? That's not moved. Oh, that moved now? Yes.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Sorry. I've got like 4 screens in front of me, so I don't know. It's probably too much. So yeah, why did I want to do it in the first place? Basically to promote a career as a technician, because I really do enjoy my job, and showcase what we do and why we're important. So my next slide will kind of go into that a little bit more as well. Just basically letting like the kids understand like where technicians are, which is pretty much everywhere, and the kind of work that we do and how we keep projects ticking along, universities ticking along in the background without always getting the credit that is probably due, I guess. I also found that there'd be a lack of this kind of engagement since COVID. So I'd worked in the university since 2016, and again, this is one of the things that I enjoyed about the job was interacting with like school-age pupils and doing these sort of activities. Because as you saw from Lizzie's videos, the enjoyment they get out of it is absolutely brilliant, and I love that kind of aspect of the job. And let's see if this moves this down. I'll do it here. There we go. So yeah, as kind of alluded to there, it's engaging, it's fun, and I find it's worthwhile. So this is just a kind of I try to make it a sports science, a wee running guy word bubble. So it's just kind of some of the words I got one time from some of the kids who came into the lab, and they just wrote a word up on a whiteboard about how they found the session. So yeah, as you can see, it's just it's good feedback for us, just to know that they're having a good time when they come into the lab and what we're doing is worthwhile. And yeah, just as I kind of spoke about a second ago, technicians are everywhere. There's technicians in all different walks of life, not just in academia like we are, or I've seen somebody that's joined us from the Science Museum, and there could be other people, I guess, on the call that aren't in academia, which just kind of proves the point. But I just kind of trying to get this point across to the pupils from the schools that you don't necessarily have to go through higher education to become a technician, because that's not for everybody. There's plenty of like jobs and occupations out there where you could be a technician, and you don't have to go through higher education, and that's important to get across as well. But on the other kind of flip side of the coin, it's a great chance for us to promote Edinburgh and Napier as an option if somebody does want to come in and be a student with us in a few years. And I'll just kind of briefly on Arthur's question to Lizzie about the age. We focused primarily just now on third year pupils in Scotland, so like third or fourth year. So they are around about 13, 14. And it's just before they would make the choices about the subjects that they're going to go and do for their Nat 5s, which then would lead into further qualifications which they would need to get into university. So it's like a good age to influence some of what decisions around the subjects that they're interested in, what they want to do in their career, potentially. And again, just part of the remit of the project was to kind of go and engage with pupils of different ages. So in the future, I will hope to go into primary schools as well. Again, because that's just a really good age to start influencing them and do really fun and engaging activities. So I just want the videos to let them know that a technician is a career they can go into, and science can be fun, because I guess not everybody would really believe that. So yeah, I really wanted to get across to the pupils like what we do as technicians, because you might find that people and children really enjoy doing these things, but wouldn't necessarily think, excuse me, like they could get a career from that. So it's just integrating these things into the activities that we did with the kids. So instead of being for my activities like sports science specific, and I'll go on to my colleagues in a second as well, but integrating things like troubleshooting problems and fixing and problem solving and working as a team. It was all integrated into the kind of the activities that we did, which again I'll talk about in a second. And just telling them we supervise projects and we teach the students. We can collect data and design studies, and we're also continually assessing and feeding back to the students as well and to the academics. So it's just kind of showing the pupils that we were going out to see that this kind of really holistic kind of role that we have, and just encouraging them to think about that as a career. So again, a little kind of word bubble I got up just to show the kids. So I kind of did an activity with them to begin with where they just had to kind of shout out to me kind of different technicians that they could think of. And I'll be honest, they don't always engage very well with that. So I just kind of flew over it and just showed them the word bubble and kind of get them thinking about all the different kind of technicians that there could be, and all the places where they might go actually, where they might have not have thought a technician would be. For instance, if you go on holiday, there's probably going to have been a technician that's made sure the plane is working to get you on your holiday. If their mum or dad have been to the garage with their car, there's going to have been an auto technician there helping to fix that. So yeah, just kind of two kind of examples where they would have come across technicians. Again, out with an academic setting. Yeah, so we held our first event in June 2023, which was kind of a pilot launch event at Wester Hailes High School, which is a very local high school to us. It's about 5 minutes up the road, so it's really easy for us to get to as well, which is handy, because we were bringing some equipment and things with us. We did 3 activities across 3 areas. So this is where I kind of elicited the help of some colleagues, and they were all very keen to get involved, which was great. So it was myself in sport, exercise and health science, and my colleague Lorna. There was Ellie, Ali, and Fern in biomedical sciences, and I had Craig and Jamie Lee in clinical skills. And we all ran different activities, so we split the kids into 3 groups, and they did the activities which were really practical and really engaging, and it all had a kind of technical kind of slant on it. So they all had to like problem solve, work as a team, to find an outcome to a problem. And then after the session, we came back to Napier, and we had a debrief session, and that included the DYW coordinator. So that's developing the youth workforce coordinator, and I've begun to work really closely with them about these events. So each school in Edinburgh has a designated developing the youth workforce coordinator, and they're a really good contact for me to have. Basically, they have the contacts at the schools with the teachers, so that they can arrange the dates for us to go in. So instead of dealing with lots of different teachers, I can just deal with one coordinator, which is really handy. And they also normally look after a number of schools. So you'll find that all the schools local to me at Napier are all looked after by maybe 2 or 3 coordinators, which is really handy as well. So here's just a few photos from our first event here. So this was part of our sport and exercise science kind of session that we did. So they got 3 options. Basically, they could work on a team sport, they could work on boxing, or they could work on athletics. So these guys had chosen to do a cutting drill, which was relevant to a team sport. So using these timing gates that you can see that the pupils about to run through, they just had to go through and set up these timing gates, so following instructions, but also problem solving, because we put in like things that will happen to the students a lot of the time, and the kind of issues which I will face and have to problem solve. I just put them to the pupils to see if they could problem solve them. So things like the timing gates would be on the wrong frequency, or they wouldn't be lined up properly, or one had not been charged. So I just had all these things planted in place, so they had to try and troubleshoot them. That was them just picking the envelope, so myself and my colleague Lorna. So this was Ali working with the pupils in their biomedical science experiment. So you can see the guy holding the bottle there is really enjoying himself, I think. So basically what these guys have done, and every time I talk about this kind of about these events, this kind of section is kind of beyond me in sports science, moving into biomedical science. So basically they created like a pH chart with beetroot juice, and then they used that pH chart to then basically rate pHs of different liquids. This was during the clinical skills kind of activity, and you can see Craig in the background, and again this guy obviously enjoying himself. So Craig and Jamie Lee in the background there, they brought a dummy along, so a mannequin that they used in the clinical skills section. Luckily this clinical skills dummy was already going to be getting taken apart, so they were able to take it apart and again just plant things wrong with it, and the students had to troubleshoot how to kind of fix what was going on. So they're able to program like different ops into it, so like blood pressure and SpO2. And they also did a quick CPR kind of demo as well, which is a good, I guess, a life skill which they can take away with them as well. Right. So the second event that we held was just the 2 areas, so just myself there, and Ellie, Ali, and Fern. So we did the 2 activities, very similar to the sport and exercise science and biomedical sciences. It was a smaller area that we had in the school, so we felt it was okay just to go down with 2 activities. So just looking into the future now, the Wester Hales event, which we held our pilot, hopefully that's going to become an annual event, and that's, I guess, kind of our, flagship sort of event, which is great because that's like our local school and that's where we started. We've got lots of different schools on the radar for events in 2024. So Curry High School there, and that's the same coordinator as I was talking about, Wester Hales, and then Foresters, again, just down the road from us, potentially closer than Wester Hales actually. Foresters and St Augie's, they share a campus, so again, very local to us. And again, they have a lot of pupils who may not have thought about a career as a technician or a career going into higher education before. So it's definitely the kind of people we're aiming to get contact with. I had the DYW coordinators come into my lab last week, and we did a tour of kind of the things that we can do in here, and I spoke about the roadshow, and that was kind of led by a widening participation officer here called Jake. So I took them around the labs, but now he's got contact with them, and they've already been out, can reach out to him to try and get new events into the calendar, which is great as well. And I'm hopefully going to integrate some more schools from across our university. So the School of Computing Engineering and the Built Environment, I've had contact with a technician there. So hopefully he's going to get on board and have an activity for us for these events. And then potentially the School of Arts and Creative Industries as well. We're trying to integrate some technicians from there. And I guess at the end point, we're inspiring a new generation of technicians, which I guess is the whole point of this fund, which is great. I'm just going to steal Sav's thunder a little bit, so why not why not submit a proposal? She'll have all the information as well, but I found the process, it was really easy to do, and the project that I think I'm doing is really worthwhile, so I'd really encourage anyone who has an idea to do that. And I'll just finish just again, like Lizzie with the feedback. I think that's really important because it just shows like we've kind of done what we wanted to do. So this was just some feedback from the DYW coordinator, and I'll not read it out, but it just kind of shows, that we've kind of achieved so far what we wanted to achieve. Okay.
Thank you very much, Neil. And yeah, it's actually great to hear you speaking, well of the fund and how to go through the process, because it's one thing coming from the NTDC team, but it's another thing coming from you. So please continue to steal that thunder. And yeah, thank you very much. I was up for the pilot that you first did at Wester Hales, and yeah, considering it was the first one, it was incredible. But you wouldn't have known that it was the first kind of project that you'd done, and yeah, it was really, really well received. So I think there's a comment in there, I think from Joe, saying so glad to see that the initiative is continuing on, and yeah, that's something I've said to you separately, that it's great to see that it's kind of snowballing into other areas, and you've had coordinators coming into the uni and things. So yeah, great. So thank you very much, Neil. Once again, and yeah, we'll share these. I think I've got a copy of similar slides from you actually, Neil, so I can probably share them. They're a little bit more extensive. Yeah. So thank you very much.
No worries.
Keep it up. I think we've got a hand up, Lawrence.
Yes, I just wanted to say, and I'm referring particularly to your word bubble here, Neil, but it's really about both presentations and the importance of going into school and just educating kids about what a technician is, because I can't help thinking that without the sort of work you do, many kids would be at home and say to themselves, when I grow up, I want to be a teacher. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor or an engineer. But I wonder how many kids in the absence of things like this would say, when I grow up, I want to be a technician, because I wonder if they know that technicians actually do a lot of these things, that you can be a technician and a scientist, you can be a technician and an engineer, you can be a technician and work in theatres. So I think it's really, really important that the actual term technician is explained to children, and that the fact that it's all sorts of different things and therefore so many careers. So I think these sorts of initiatives are, I think, really, really important, and I commend both of the speakers we've had so far for just teaching kids what a technician is, and therefore why they might want to grow up and be a technician in the way that they want to grow up and be a traditional engineer, for example.
Yeah, great point, Lawrence. And yeah, lovely words. Yeah, I also commended from, I think, most people in this call, if not everyone. And I think that's one of the hardest things, is actually having the conversation about what a technician is. And if somebody asked me to explain or give a definition, I don't think I could. I don't know if technicians actually could, apart from their specific role. So yeah, really good point. And yeah, thank you very much, Lawrence. I'm going to hand over now to Denise. We're a little bit behind schedule, Denise, so I'm sorry. I know you're actually at an ED&I event today, so you're a very, very busy woman. So do you want me to share your slides?
Yes, please, if you don't mind.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
No problem, I'll hand over.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Denise McLean. I work at the University of Nottingham in the School of Life Sciences, and my speciality is around electron microscopy and histology. But today I'm wearing my outreach hat. So I've been a technician for over 30 years, and in doing so, I've always been very mindful of the fact that I didn't really see a lot of people, and still can't see a lot of people that look like me, actually in the technical field or in science. So next slide, please. So based on my lived experience, along with the statistics and headlines in newspapers, it kind of all married up to the same outcome. So while there's still so few Black scientists in the UK, and rather than joining the kind of like sub-story brigade or the glasses half empty, I'm one that likes to look at solutions to these kind of issues. A lot of people in my community always say to me, how did you ever find out about your role? We'd never imagined that you would be doing this in the university. And we've got to also be mindful that the university is not very good at branding itself as a place of employment. It's mainly teaching and learning, and that's how a lot of the communities see us. And we have to kind of shine the light and be universities without walls by being vocal about what happens on our place, at our places of work. So on the back of this, I felt that it was passionate, because I know for me, if a lot of things in life for me, if I don't see it, I won't even understand or know it's there. So it's about raising awareness. So next slide, please. So what I'm going to do is just go through very quickly some of the activities that I've taken part in over the years, and they're going to vary quite a lot. So I've done some going out to schools, so some outreach and going out into communities. Now, what we tend to do is look for areas that need support. And talking to one of our apprentices, she pointed out that she knew nothing about technical roles or much about science, because she was from a very remote, there were no Blacks, it was an all-white community, but they were very remote, one bus an hour, and very little engagement with the outside world. And this made me realize that this is not just about underrepresented in the sense of all the protected characteristics, but there are also individuals who are from the majority population of the population who too suffer from inequalities when it comes to exposure and the access to new understandings and new findings. So we tended to go to remote schools to give them some insight. So I'm here with a group from my team, and we were teaching young people how to use a Raspberry Pi, which is a small little box, which is a computer, and we're teaching them how to set up a Raspberry Pi or a microscope using the Raspberry Pi, and learn a bit about coding, about assembling. So they were learning quite a bit through one activity, and that was really exciting. So next slide, please. So also a way that we can raise our awareness is by using platforms wherever we go. So I was invited to be a panelist at New Scientist Live, and we're talking about misrepresentation of the technical community, misconceptions about who we are and what we do. And we were able to have an audience with students, academics, and also the public to raise the awareness and to shine a light on technical excellence and what we're all about. So next slide, please. So this is a program that I took part in recently. So Arthur, I saw your question in the chat, I'm not ignoring you, and I'm hoping that this slide will help to answer some of that. So this was with Midlands Innovation Talent. I was ED&I lead for them, and as one of the initiatives that I took on and was passionate about was trying to engage with school children between the age of 16 and 18, and giving them an opportunity to come and have a week-long summer program at the University of Nottingham as a mini pilot. Now, this was a targeted approach, so we asked various questions to understand the demographics of who we were capturing, because we wanted to make sure we were hitting all the protected characteristics and having a fair representation from each of those characteristics represented and able to engage with the program. And this was to help to understand or to raise awareness and to give these young people hope and a better understanding also. And they'd be able to go back out and shine the light in their communities, explaining to them that we are here, we are making it happen, and the impact that we're having in terms of the technical roles. So these individuals that you can see, this was the last day, this was a graduation, they spent the week with us, and they were able to engage in engineering. They had life sciences exposure, microscopy. They had flight simulation and racing car experiences as well, talking to the teams involved in those, plant sciences as well. They also had CV writing, application form filling in, and presentation skills that they were able to pick up soft skills as well. They learned how to give feedback as well. So it was quite a full week for them, where they engaged with the technical community in various areas. And if there are any art technicians here, please forgive me. We didn't actually engage with the arts community on this occasion, but it's something that I've noted that I need to pick up for next time we run this program. So this was an exciting opportunity, and these young people were so empowered. They spoke to the apprenticeships, the director for the apprenticeship scheme as well, and a lot of them who weren't sure what to do and now thinking of going down the apprenticeship route to degree level. A couple of them on the program changed their mind about what they wanted to do because of the exposure that they had, and a lot of them were from families that had never been to university, and they also never had the opportunity to have work experience when it was a work experience week at school. So I wanted to make sure to try and do a bit of leveling up and give them the opportunities that they so rightly deserved. So this was very impactful, and we had to write up the report. I know it was from summer, so much is going on. And so we will write that up and hope to send that out as an exemplar to other universities and institutes to use. So next slide, please. So a few years ago, I had the honour of joining forces with Willard Wigan. He makes the smallest handmade sculptures on the planet, and he is just absolutely phenomenal. And so I approached him and asked, you know, would he be happy to put on an exhibition with me where we could have a week-long exhibition somewhere of his choosing. We chose Birmingham because that's where he lives. And we put on a week-long exhibition where he was able to showcase his artwork, and I was able to showcase science using microscopy techniques. And it was very, very successful. We had quite a large footfall, and yes, it was a great honor to be able to. So again, finding opportunities to link in with individuals in the community who may not be from our world as such, but can have great impact and bring the footfall. So that was one of the highlights of my technical career. Can I have the next one, please? So this actual science club is one which has been going, I don't think it's a year. And this takes place in a deprived area in Nottingham called the Meadows. And they've got a beautiful library there, beautiful space. And so once a month, they have what's called the Saffron Science Club. And young children are able to come along and engage with whatever the activity is on that particular day. So on this particular Saturday, we were highlighting the microscopy and also fluorescence. So the individuals were able to use food, and they were able to look at things from nature that fluoresce naturally. And they had invisible pens that they could draw things and then shine the UV light on. And they were so inspired. These children were aged from like age 3 to about 9. We had about 15 children, and they had an amazing time with us. They had 3 different systems that they were allowed to go around and have a play and a practice and a try. And yes, it was, so this was a couple of weeks ago, but I can't even tell you how important it is and how encouraging it is even for us as a technical community to see how grateful the young people are, how they're curious their little minds are, and how engaging they are with the process as we're kind of showing them and empowering and encouraging them. So next slide, please. So I'm not I won't be much longer, I should say. So this slide just gives you some of the opportunities that I've been involved with, not all of them, but just a few of them that I've been involved with over the years. And as you can see, some of them were family events, some of them were school. We've had opportunity to invite schools through the widening participation scheme that we use at the University of Nottingham for schools to actually come in-house and come and actually be a part of seeing what's happened, handle the equipment if it's not dangerous, not too dangerous to do so. But you can see it's going to take a myriad of approaches for people to know who we are, what we do, and to shine a spotlight on it. So we've gone out nationally, locally, we've invited individuals back, the schools back to where we are, and we've put initiatives and programs on looking at the data to help us to navigate the space and decide on where the priorities lie. So last slide, please. So on this slide, we ask the question, not last slide, sorry. We're asking the question, why outreach? And as you can see, I've just put a few pointers as to why, because it does empower people and give them broader perspectives and more of an understanding. It tells them about the technical career being a viable career path and a choice that they can make. It gives value also, because there's value in giving back. And it talks about the 5 benefits of well-being, and giving back to the communities, or just giving back in general, is very, very good for your well-being. It's also good for your professional role. It kind of embeds your learning, and as you learn to communicate your science effectively with children and adults of all ages. And it strengthens and diversifies your personal and professional relationship and builds networks. And I think this is so important for us, that we don't just sit in our own little corner and sit in our spaces, but that we make sure that we too are seen. Because all too often what happens is when there's an initiative or some breakthrough, the academic scene, but the whole ecosystem we need to change that, so that the whole ecosystem can be shown, from the cleaner or the bottle washer all the way through technicians and the academics. So individuals in the community who are watching these news articles can see that people like them are helping to make a difference too. So I think it's very important that we do that. It raises our profile. There's representation. That's why it's important as well. It tackles biases and stereotypes, because if you don't see people that look like you, or people don't see people who don't look like them there, they think that they're not a part of making that change. It's not necessarily the case. And also the contributions and capabilities of underrepresented groups are also able to be seen. So in so many ways, this is why I personally do outreach and would encourage others. And we need allies as well, as you know, to shine the light and to be able to tap into those communities that are disadvantaged. And so that's why I like the question that you asked, Arthur. So last slide, please. Or is that my last one? So how to get engaged. As you can see, so speak to widening participation teams if you've got them. If you've got outreach officers, speak to them also. And get involved in science festivals. Find out where they are in your areas. Open days. If things are happening, the big family days on, put a tent up. See if you can get your university down there, and give yourself more exposure and give the community a chance to understand what you do. So MI Talent ran they had an open day, and it was about 700 young school children that came along for the day this year in September, and it was very well received. You had many different organizations that came along and different universities. So again, if MI Talent run the Tech Fest next year, see if you can get involved in that and how you can be a part of the change, and ask for and create opportunities if they're not there. Try and find an opportunity to create them. Ask your PI, managers, colleagues, friends, how can we get involved? So that's what I'd say. And those are my little tips for the time. I hope I haven't overrun my time. Sorry. Thank you very much. The end.
Thank you very much. And no, you've not overrun it. We've got a lot to cram in today, and I think we'll be running slightly over, just as a warning for everyone anyway. But thank you so much, Denise. And the amount of stuff that you're involved in is great, and I think it's really important to say that kind of multi-channel way of getting the word out there and having those conversations, whether it be locally, regionally, nationally, is the best way forward. And yeah, thank you very much for sharing your tips. I think for people that are working, just the majority of people in higher education, I think your tip to speak to the widening participation teams within the organisation is great, because they'll have the know-how about questions like you asked Arthur about age, safeguarding, things like that. They will have systems in place that you would have to go through anyway. You'd have to go through their procedures anyway. So thank you very much for joining us, Denise. And I know you're at an event today, so if you do need to get off, thank you very much. I think Lawrence might have a question or a comment for you before he does.
Yeah, this might be a given, Denise, but given that you do the work you do is because you're from an underrepresented minority. I'm going to put you on the spot here. What brought you into science? Why are you an electron microscopy technician? And do you tell your own personal story? I'm guessing the answer to the latter is yes.
Well, I don't blow my trumpet, and I don't really share much about what I do. And I remember once a friend of mine had to come to work. I was working at the weekend and she needed to collect something. She brought her 2 nephews with her, and her nephews were speechless. I've never known them to be so quiet. They came to the lab and they were so quiet. I didn't understand I didn't even think anything of it. But then their aunt said to me that her nephews were just blown away with what I do. They just said, I can't believe this crazy woman who makes us laugh all the time. And this is what she does. And they were just in awe. And it made me realize that perhaps I don't share enough about what I do. What I would love for universities to do is have family days where family and friends can come. And people around us know all about what we're doing, but the people who are closest to us have no idea as to the impact that we're making out in society. And for me, it'd be so important to try and have these days. So what brought me into science? When I was in Jamaica, I was born in England, but I left when I was 6 and went to live in Jamaica for 10, nearly 11 years. And we had a science project. And a part of the project, we had to then go and use an electron microscope to look at blue bottle flies. And so the scanning electron microscope, I was in awe of it. But you don't even realize the seeds that are sown at the time. I never remembered that. And it's strange how in life things manifest, because years down the line, I worked with scanning electron microscopes, histology. I used to read my mum's nursing books, and she had books on histology, and I used to love those books, but would never have realized that I will come to understand that years later I'd end up in this position. Back in those days, you're looking for a job, you look in the Evening Post, the local paper, and look for a job. And then you kind of move, once you're in the space, you kind of hop from space to space as the permanent positions come up. And I kind of just happened upon my career and then realized that from a very young age, who was to tell that all these years later, I'd end up doing the very things that I'd been exposed to as a young child. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I totally agree with you about open days and bringing people in. And just a little factoid here, as the Americans would say. But I think what you do, Denise, microscopy, it's an obvious thing, isn't it, to try and convey the sort of wonder and awe of science, because really the biggest bestseller in science before Charles Darwin's book was actually a book about in the early 1660s by Robert Hooke, the original secretary of the Royal Society. It was called Micrographia, and it was a fantastic hit, not just with scientists, but with the public at large. And basically, he was one of the first people to use a microscope, look down it, and he literally drew things like bed bugs, and it introduced people to this whole new microscopic world. And I think there is definitely something in what you do in terms of capturing the imagination of the public.
Yes, absolutely. I'd agree. Thanks for that, Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence. And yeah, thank you once again, Denise. Really valuable to hear your experiences there. So thank you very much. Thank you. And then finally, and sorry, Lily, we are later than anticipated, but Lily from the Science Museum is here to share some opportunities, and Lily will be sharing this more widely with our entire network as well of technical staff. So anybody who's not been able to join today, they will be getting all the information from you. But I will let you take over and introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you?
Awesome. And can you see my slides?
Yeah, they're up.
Dreamy dreams. All good. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lillian Barbadier, and I work at the Science Museum as a technicians program producer. That title is quite misleading because I'm not a technician. Never really been a technician. I work in the learning team, but I've produced programming, live events, activities, any kind of sort of public engagement program that we can think of for our brand new gallery called Technicians, which, as the title says, is all about technicians. So what I thought I'd do today is run you a little bit through the gallery and then maybe have a little chat about some of the live program events that we've done, and then also do a little plug and show you ways that you can get involved in the gallery too. So Technicians, super exciting. It is a key stage 3-4 gallery. It's all for the young uns, all for the teenagers, which is quite exciting for the museum because we do very good sort of like primary school sport. We're wonderful with our adults. And then yet that sort of like 13 to 18 age range, we kind of like lose them. So it's really important for us to try and grab them back. And Technicians did that for us. So Technicians, oh, that's sad. Oh yeah, winning. So Technicians is part of our Learning Team flagship program. Whilst I produce the programming and work hard on trying to get great events there, I'm also supported by lots of other people on our team. You can see us partying here. This is the launch night. It was like, took 6 years to build. So we were super excited once we got that gallery up and opening. The gallery has a key message, and that key message is that technicians are essential. They make an impact on your life, and you could become one too. So what we're trying to do in the gallery, every single exhibit, every single story, every single label, every single game is trying to reinforce this thing that technicians are somehow involved in your everyday life. You may not know it, but they are involved. And the next most important thing is that you could become one too, that we all have those skills and knowledge. It's just a case of taking time to refine it. The gallery has lots of different things in there that really appeal to young people. When we were building the gallery, we did a lot of work with local young people. We set up 2 youth groups. We had one which advised the actual physical build of the gallery. And then we had another youth group, which we still keep, who advises the live programming, all the events and all the activities and workshops that we do. And it was very important for us that when the young people came onto the gallery, A, they felt it's their space, so they're comfortable, relaxed, ready to listen, ready to engage. And B, whatever we put out there, that information was something they could process, remember, use, and share. And finally see that they had a really great time. They remembered it, that when they go back on to do their other bits and pieces, they remember that they had a really good time in the Technicians Gallery learning about technicians. The gallery we built it for young people, which means as adults, you probably won't enjoy it. And in fact, we get quite a few complaints from grown-ups. The seating's not quite right, there's no signage, there's no maps, you don't know how to navigate yourself, but the young people absolutely love it. The most key features that we have are lots and lots of films. We have very limited text, and we also only have 13 objects on the gallery. Now, if you think about the Science Museum, which is an object-rich gallery, normally we have a couple of hundred objects in a gallery space. And here we only have 13. This is something that was informed to us by our youth advisors, who were really insistent that unless the object was telling them something that they could take away there and then in the moment, that it wasn't really worth that. And also the idea that having lots and lots of objects and lots of different things is actually distracting, and keeping to one core message and sort of reinforcing that story probably gets a lot more information across. So we have lots of these large screens, which are actually enormous. They're like pretty much my height. I'm not very tall, about 5 foot. Yeah, but yeah. And in these screens, we have films of technician apprentices, and they're talking about their role. And there's an element in those screens where young people can get involved. So a question might appear, something such as, is an apprenticeship better than doing a degree? And then you have time to choose, and then you hear the perspective of those technician apprentices. We made sure that we were getting the technician apprentices, that they were something that the young people could look at and feel like they're connected to. So that's why we chose people very early on in their career, and we made sure that we had a diverse range, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different lifestyle choices, all different looks, all of that good stuff. The next thing we have in the gallery that we have lots and lots and lots of are the custom interactives. And this is the way that young people can imagine themselves being technicians. They walk in the gallery, they can see through the imagery, through the stories that technicians are telling them, that technicians are impacting their life and making a difference. But how can they learn to become one too? How can we overcome the stereotype? Science, technology, engineering, and maths is difficult. It's not for me, not for my family, not for my background. How can we overcome that? And we do that by having these interactive games where young people try out, essentially test out a technical career role. And as they play the game, they learn a little bit about what a technician does in their daily jobs, and also the skills that are needed. And the good thing I like about this, that, you know, you can fail the game, you can screw it up, which is very, very important to know that you can fail, restart, make it work, and it makes it more authentic for young people. So once they've had a great experience, they have seen some amazing films, they have tried out a few technician roles. Now they think to themselves, okay, nitty gritty, how do I do this job? How can I make that happen? Then they go on to the Careers Hub, where we have all that practical information about technical roles. So when I say practical information, it's things like, what are your entry grade requirements needed to do that role? What is the labor market like? How much will you get paid? What skills do you need? So all that sort of useful, boring, but useful stuff that when you're super interested, this is where you go. And then that is the actual gallery experience. We have themed the gallery around 4 distinct industries. I know that technicians pretty much go across everything. And whilst we have got quite a large foot space, I think we'd have to use almost the whole museum if we're going to showcase every technical role or every technical industry. So we try to do is pick 4 very distinct worlds, give the idea there's breadth and depth, which is very important for young people because they are all individuals. They do not want to be told what to do, and they want to be respected for their values and for their own choices. And that's great because there's so many different kinds of technical roles out there. It doesn't matter who you are. There'll be a technical job that can speak to you and a technical job that can speak to your skills. And that's what we're trying to get across in the gallery. The 4 words we have are saving lives, which is looking at technicians in NHS, in the hospitals. Great. Pretty much really all young people have had some sort of interaction with the NHS, so they can relate to that very easy. The next one we looked at was energy. Energy is super important. Young people believe that as us adults, you know, we have messed up the planet with climate change. We're not going fast enough in changing to renewable energy. So it's really important that they have an idea that they can change things and they themselves can impact and change their lives the way they want to. And the other final 2 areas that we have are creative industries and building the future. Creative industries was good because with science, technology, and engineering and maths, sometimes it's hard to imagine how that can fit into an artistic world or a creative world. What we did here is that we worked very closely with Disney and we recreated the one of the sets from Black Panther, and that's Shuri's lab, which is great because at that time Black Panther had just come out, so we were like so on trend. So, yes. And in that section, you can try your role out doing some technical roles such as a sound technician or a special effects technician. And the final word that we tried to look at was building the future. And this is thinking about all the things that young people want to use, want to do. They're very interested in technology, often, well, at least much more ahead than I am. It's good for them to see how those roles and how those technical careers actually help all those new gadgets and technology that we use, how that all comes together and comes to life. Now we have an amazing gallery that's open 363 days a year. We're closed for Christmas and New Year's Eve, but our gallery is open all the time. What else is needed to really help young people cross that step and start exploring technical roles and thinking that it is for them? Well, what's needed is humans who do technical roles to share their job roles with their own work and tell their own stories. And that is what I currently do now. My role is to go out in the world, recruit lots of technicians from a variety of industries, a variety of parts of the country, parts of the world, and work with them to share their technical role with our education groups and our family groups. And going back to a couple of comments about earlier when we talked about the importance of family, we've done a lot of research about careers and choices that young people make and who are those influences. Family is so important in helping young people make a career choice. And it's partly why we do the family programming, because if we can showcase technical careers to adults who are great advocates, great champions, then that is a really big help in making young people explore those technical jobs. So yes, I agree that family education engagement is super, super important. We work with technicians. We find a bit about what they do, what they like, what made them get into their career, and then they go for an extensive training program. A couple of people in the meeting have done it. I've seen Jo there. She's worked with us. That's quite exciting. And I think Kat was there as well, Kat Harris. That was also quite exciting. They've done the program with us. So definitely chat to them and find out what they think. And we work with them for over 5 different sessions. And in those sessions, we are looking to see how can we share your story of who you are authentically with young people. We know that young people can seem quite scary because they are super honest. You know, there is no hiding back that face. You see the joy, you see the pain, it's right there. That can sometimes be quite intimidating when we think about Key Stage 2, who are just so excited to see you, so happy to be there. It can feel like a little daunting. But with our youth group, with our learning team, we help you create your own workshop about your role, which you keep, which is yours. And then we get to deliver it in the museum for 5 days across an academic term. And we get in book school groups, and we do Q&A sessions, we do workshops, and we also do bigger things. We take out this whole Technicians Live programming to other events. So we have also done New Scientists Live, we've done the Royal Society Summer Exhibition, and we've also worked with other partners such as NSP, who do the school holidays as well, sharing that technical story grid. I think I am pretty much there. I wanted to leave some time for questions and discussion. I don't know if you do have that time, Savannah, but I might leave it there.
I've got the time that people have started dropping off a little bit just because through my fault we've ran over slightly, but yeah, it would be great to get some questions. And I guess when we were speaking before, Lily, we were talking about some of the barriers that people might have to kind of being involved in such a quite intensive program, really. And I guess if we can hear from you and maybe even hear from Jo about how you've managed that.
Definitely. We are asking for a lot of time. We're almost asking for 11 days out of a technician's time. And we know technicians are so valuable to all the work that you do, to your organizations. Essentially, they would probably stop. So there is work to be done in getting technicians released from their roles and their jobs. But we work very closely with our partners and with the organizations that we partner up with. The other really important thing to remember about this program is the skills that we offer. So with coming to the program, it can be considered as a career professional development training. You would do time doing presentation speaking, facilitation speaking, project management, and the technicians are very much in charge of what they say. We work with them to make sure they're authentic, work with them to make sure that they are confident, and it does take a little bit of practice to be able to sit in a room in front of maybe 70 young people and answer their questions, and their questions can be quite strong. We spend a lot of time working with them. The technicians produce their own visual aids. We support them getting the right props, the equipment, even making them if they need to be made. So there's a lot of career progression and professional development within that process, which we hope balances the time that we take them out of their organisation. And when they come back, pretty much all the technicians that we've worked with have felt they've gained really useful transferable skills that they can put into their projects, whether it's explaining or being able to conduct meetings or share content or share the work that they're doing, or if it's just being more confident and also enjoying their job again, because you're spending almost one term celebrating who you are. It is all about sharing, yes, some of the lows, but lots and lots and lots of highs as well. Lawrence has had his hand up, really patient for ages.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Lawrence. You're on mute. Yeah.
Lily, first and foremostly, let me just say, what a fabulous job you have. That was inspiring, what you've just talked about. Yeah, this is something I think you've covered, but, you know, by virtue of being in London, certainly in my area, which is biomedical sciences, you have a lot of the big players there, such as the Francis Crick. I mean, do you actually sort of actively go out and work with them in terms of maybe trying to recruit their technicians to get involved in your programs? And going forward, do you think that you will... Well, actually, no, I'll leave it there. So do you work with institutes like the Crick and others outside sort of life sciences in terms of what you put on at the gallery?
Yes and no. We don't actually very much work with the Francis Crick because they also have their own very extensive public engagement program.
Right.
And they do a lot of work they do a lot of their own work. And when the Francis Crick does come to the museum to do technicians, they mainly work with our adult audiences. So although we have collaboration partnerships, it's not necessarily for school age, but we do work with other big institutions like Imperial College.
Right.
And we work very close with their technicians. And while they have a big public engagement team with specific public engagement officers, they don't actually have so much engagement opportunities for their technical staff and for the staff researchers. And what the technicians program does, working with them, it enables us to both get something out of it. So we train their staff. By the time they're finished with us, they are either confident enough to present in a Q&A session, so they can then go on within their own public engagement, or they will have a finished workshop about their career, about their organization, and they can take and use in their own organizations. And that's kind of like the balance that we're striking here. We want to bring you into the museum because we know we're going to have hundreds and thousands of school children each year. We also know that teachers are super keen on careers because they have to do it now. That Ofsted is all over them for careers. Can't be fudged. They have to do it, which is exciting opportunities for us as well, you know. And we also know that, especially for teenagers, that sort of age, that a hands-on practical approach, meeting people, having conversations, talking, seeing and doing for themselves is the best way to interest them, not just in the career, but in science and technology and engineering as a whole. But I think there's so many things here that if we can somehow pull it all together, we're going to have like an amazing, magical revolution. Actually, not magical, scientific revolution. I wanted to hand over to Thinky. I wanted to hand over to Joe because Joe's done the session with us. He's worked in a program, and then maybe I can go back to Arthur and answer his question. But I feel like it'd be really nice to hear somebody who's actually done it, tell it in their own words. Good and bad, all welcome.
Thanks, Lily. Arthur, do you want to answer your question first?
Lily, Joey, I'm sorry if you might have answered this question and I've missed it, but the technician stories, where are they sort of advertised and publicised, and can they be shared with other institutions and other organisations?
Two parts. So the gallery itself features lots of technician stories. When you go on there will be there's a couple of objects each technician has chosen that reflects important parts of their job. There'll be films, there's some labels, and there's actually on the gallery. So that's a permanent exhibition that we can't take away. each technician writes their own presentation, their own workshop. And that's what we keep within the museum. So we keep a copy ourselves, and Joanna has a copy that she can take and use in her own place. We don't necessarily share it. To get access to that from our perspective, you've got to join our club. Sorry. You need to come, sign up to the program, and then once you're signed up, by all means, the database is open for you. However, Joanna is happy to sign up.
An individual can do that, or is it like an organisation? Is it open to individuals or organisations?
Individuals can, but because you need so much time off, we will be seeking confirmation that your employer is going to support you in it and that they're okay with you to do it. Okay. It takes a lot of time. I think it's not easy. We're not asking you to talk about your work, what you do on a daily basis. We're asking you to talk about why you chose to be a career, why you chose to be a technician. We're asking you about what's made it harder or easier for you to learn your craft and skill. That's quite personal. And that is a really difficult mind switch to have in your head. So I think that takes a lot of effort from everybody's side. We want people who willing to take that slight risk, and an organisation that is happy to support them in that, because it's not instantaneous change. Just have that mindset.
I'm thinking those profiles will be very powerful if they could be shared. I think that's where I'm coming from. But I'll perhaps get back to you on it.
Defo.
And I think, sorry, Joe, just before, I think everyone keeps jumping in on you, but maybe kind of an answer to this as well, but about that kind of getting approval from people and from the manager or from the head of technical services. Lily, when you and I spoke, we said that could potentially be a barrier for people. Joe, are you okay to kind of?
Yeah, absolutely.
That as well.
Yeah. So I think in most universities in particular, I'll say are technician commitment signatories, and within that is usually a section within action plans and assessments of outreach. And this is a particularly good one and answers the sustainability pillar of the technician commitment. So we got the technician commitment leads on board and heading that up, and that's where we were able to put a pot of money to fund travel, for example, because I'm down in the bottom of Kent and I had to travel to London. So we were able to fund technicians to go up and do the training and take that time. And they would help us then figure out business as usual and continuity within the university so that it wasn't putting any undue pressure. So it's really talking to those in leadership and management and getting them on board, especially if they're signatories of the technician commitment, because it would be something in there. And that's how we were able to extract some funds for the training, but also the time that we would need to do it. But it goes in a flash. You wouldn't even recognize that you'd done the training. And that was great, because as people have within universities, we're using the open days where we're actually just promoting the subject. And so having that mind change, and actually we're promoting our career choices as a technician, but also our skills. So I went down the skills route of my technical career. So, and that's what I did my workshop based on. Does that kind of answer it?
I think that's a really good answer. There isn't much I would add on more to that. I think we do lots of sessions, information sharing sessions. So if you did have like a career, technical careers lead or someone from the technician commitment that you wanted to send our way, definitely. And we're also happy to approach them as well if you want us to contact them. So yeah, we've got lots of information we share, and we're happy to support you in those conversations and have them directly.
Yeah. And I'm always happy to share my experiences about the Science Museum as well. So you're always welcome to tap me up.
Thanks, Jo. I do that quite a lot. So, yeah, I think the key one there is kind of having people on board and having that backing of, you are a signatory to this commitment, and part of that is allowing and supporting the teams to do this kind of thing. So yeah, great to hear that you got the support there, Jo, and yeah, probably will.
And I think trumpeting the fact that we won the Royal Society Hawksby Award, for our work with the Science Museum. It's just like
yeah, I forgot to say that it's an award-winning gallery.
Oh yeah.
Award-winning work from you both. No, that's brilliant. And Lily, am I right in thinking that I can share the slides that you sent across and give people?
If it's okay, I'm gonna send you a more detailed slide deck.
Perfect.
And that will have like my contact details and all the information.
Yeah,
I'll send that to you just after this meeting.
Perfect. Wonderful. Right, I'm going to just stop the recording now, and then we can say our goodbyes. But yeah, thanks again to everyone who spoke today. I know Denise isn't here anymore, but thank you, Neil, Lizzie, and Lily. Yeah, really, really valuable, and great to hear such a kind of array of experiences as well and different opportunities that are up. So I'll just stop that recording.